Hello everyone and welcome to the inaugural YouTube of Magic Maree and Jasper. We're going to talk about Jasper in a moment. As Magic Maree, I got that name when I was actually in my early 20s from a cousin who said, how is it you can actually do a massage for me and feel and know what's going on emotionally? So that stuck a little bit. My website is now actually called Magic Maree as well, as is this YouTube. Today for me is really exciting because it's auspicious. It's the 2nd of February 2022, so there's lots of twos in there. And astrologically, it's been said that this is a very, very blessed day to start new projects. The reason I'm doing all of this is to actually get to know you guys. I want to set up a space where we can all communicate with each other. We can have questions answered. And the reason that maybe I can help with that is because I do have some gifts and talents when it comes to clairvoyance and to intuition and being able to look at different situations from a different perspective. Firstly though, let's meet my very good friend Jasper. So, this is Jasper. Now, you might be asking, how did you come to be friends with a crystal skull? Well, it was his fault because when I actually went into this beautiful crystal shop, I'm slightly partial to crystals. Jasper was sitting in his little shelf, and as I picked him up and looked at him, he started talking to me straight away. He was going, my name is Jasper. Hi, I'm from wherever he was saying he was from. I couldn't believe it. I've had crystal skulls before, and it's taken a long time to actually get them to communicate with me until we're really connected. So, of course, he's 3 kilos, so he's not a light friend. He's actually quite a heavy crystal skull made of clear quartz crystal, and he does have his rugilated quartz. So he actually has another like Jasper running through him. So for a week, I didn't buy him then and there. So for a week, I drove around thinking, oh, at work, and Jasper just kept coming through. He was downloading energy right through me, and I could feel the upgrades and the templating. And he kept saying, you've got to come and get me. So I went, okay, I'm coming to get you. So I actually went back and picked him up and took him home. And we've been friends ever since. And that was probably about 8 years ago. So this is Jasper, and what he's told me where he's actually from, apart from being a crystal fairy, which he is because he's a crystal, there's a channel of beings that come through from deep within the cosmos. And I've only just started to recognize that it's completely interdimensional. It's not like they're on a planet somewhere up there. This is interdimensional. So I get a lot more expanded visions and intuition when they're coming through and we're actually connected and talking. So Jasper can help us with some of our questions that we have. So who's Maree? Well, I was very blessed. I grew up in a very country area in Western Australia. That's why the funny accent. And some of you might know me from the quantum healing of the soul with Elisa. So I thought though it'd be really nice to also have a group specifically more on this time zone as well, and so that we can have Australians that are on as much as US and UK. So when I grew up as a child, we were blessed. I had animals around me. We lived on a farm, really isolated. It's one of the most isolated country towns in Australia. And even when I was growing up, I kept asking, why am I so lucky? I really know now that it was to grow up amongst nature. I talked to animals even back then. I could telepathize with them. I loved plants. I used to study ants on the ground just for hours, really connected to nature. And I feel that was something that's helped me to come into this place with my psychic gifts and talents. So I'd love to hear some of your stories as well. So in the comments, pop down if you actually feel you're intuitive or if you've had situations where that's happened for you. And we can then just look at where everyone maybe started on their journey with their psychic abilities. Okay, so I actually knew I wanted to travel even as a child. Just knew I've got to travel this world. So I decided to become a nurse and a midwife. And I did. I travelled the world, which has been amazing up till now. We've had a few little glitches in travelling at the moment. So I'm just travelling interdimensionally instead. I've studied all sorts of things. I was always intrigued with energy. So I did Reiki. I've done therapeutic touch. I actually helped set up a acute pain service and brought in some other modalities that would help people rather than just using traditional drugs and things. And the thing that's really helped me the most has been transference healing with Alexis Cartwright. So I do lots of energy healing still. I've been doing that for years. I'm actually doing that more now. And the reason why is that my time has been freed up. Some of us have been quite affected by these mandates that are in place around health. What's the word I could use here? Some health benefits that we're expected to use. And so for me, I actually got pushed out of my health industry and I'm now free to do what my soul actually wants to do. So what I'd like to do first is actually, I do work with cards as well. So I've got multiple types of cards, but my favorite ones are my animal magic cards, which are with transference healing, my tarot cards, and I have these beautiful chakra cards. So the hit I was getting today was to actually pull or divinate a chakra card for where the earth is at on an energetic level. So let's have a little look and see what comes through with that. So I'm just going to shuffle and we'll see. I always connect in before I do this as well. So make sure that I'm in a really clear space, that I'm really centered, and then just tune in through my divine presence, my higher self, my creator, God, whatever word you choose to use, so that I'm actually connecting into the most accurate aspect. And sometimes the card will jump out like that one. Interesting. And sometimes I lay them out and we'll divinate it that way. So interestingly enough, the card that's come through is number 19. So this card is forgiveness. So the word forgiveness is so powerful. Interestingly enough, this morning, I was actually remembering how I had to forgive my own soul for wanting to create what I thought was such a really hard lifetime. And I used to go as a child, why can't it be that I grew up with hippie parents that actually just were really chilled and all the rest of it, and there was no drama. But the thing was, it would have been bored stupid, number one. Probably most of you would have been. And I wouldn't have grown and learnt. There's also karma in there that we're releasing. So where we're at for the earth is a forgiveness of the earth's actual soul self, which then of course we're related to. So it's for our soul self. Also maybe it's forgiveness for how we as human beings, especially some that maybe aren't as loving as others, have treated the earth to get their own way. So if the earth can be full of forgiveness, Gaia, Mother Earth, whatever it is you want to call her, because she loves us enough to have us here, then maybe we too can forgive our own soul if we've had a fairly arduous journey and understand that it's all perfect. So that was the card that came up for Mother Earth. So what I want to do now as well is ask Jasper a question. So I'm going to ask what Jasper's feeling around the vibration of the earth, the frequency that's been coming through, and just see, because he's very connected in to all of this energetic world. So I'm going to just ask Jasper what it is that he's feeling at the moment. He's actually showing me that there's this gold frequency coming through in bursts onto the actual earth through the electromagnetic grid lines. And as they come in, they're causing a big shift and rising of vibration. So you may feel this as well. And if you've been feeling a bit tired or dizzy or had headaches, or maybe you've even had some heart palpitations, that can be because of this increase in frequency. When I used to listen to the radio, I used to notice if the radio went off for a little while, I knew we were getting solar flares and I knew we were getting more energy onto the earth. This feels different, what I'm seeing. It's actually a very gold frequency coming in. So thank you, Jasper. That's great for showing me that. The other thing I wanted to ask was for us as humans. Let's see what our beautiful animal magic cards have to say for where we're at within our global consciousness. So what does that mean? Most of you watching this would know what that means. To me, it's how we're all so interconnected. So we have this beautiful electromagnetic body, but we all interconnect, and we can actually pick up on what everyone's thinking, feeling, and hence be telepathic or actually pick up on their vibe, and that can affect us, or our love and our frequency can affect them. So our global consciousness is what's going on, maybe in the majority of people. Let's have a look and see if there's a card that's just going to jump out, or if I'm going to have to divinate one. It's fine. Either way is perfect. Whoa, here we go. That one was very keen. I love it. The card we've got is the bat. So when we look at the bat, which means cycles, it's transformation, it's death and rebirth. It's when something's finished. That excites me because it means that we're moving away from maybe that lower global consciousness into something higher frequency. And if we think of the bat and its hearing, it can actually pick up frequency, very high frequency. And that's how it finds its way through the dark. We have bats that fly over my home, and I love it when I see them. It makes me feel like there's something new coming. We've got something new coming, and we're nearly there. So with this bat, he's actually holding the moon. And to me, moon again is around cycles, because the moon, there's a 28-day cycle around the moon. It's also the feminine aspect. So the bat, when this card comes up, means that you may actually start getting more clairaudience. Clairaudience is when we can actually hear things through other dimensions easier. So, for example, if you're wanting to have more connection with your own divine wisdom, your higher self, you might find that you start to feel you're tapping in and hearing that more clearly. So, or if someone you love has actually transitioned or passed over, you might find you actually start to hear when they're communicating with you. So I love it when the bat comes through. It means something really big is shifting. So thank you, Bat, for coming through today to give us that message. So what I'd like to do is to actually say to you guys, we have a whole list of different aspects we can talk about, ask questions around. So let me just have a look and see what might be some ideas, and you can pop in the comments which ones you feel you'd like to talk about. So we can talk about Atlantis, we can talk about crystals, we can talk about emotions, intuition, synchronicities, and how do we stay in a high frequency state, health and well-being, interdimensional worlds and beings, one of my personal favorites, and even things like the topic of death, which is so taboo in our society, and so many people are afraid of talking about it. As a nurse and a midwife, I often helped people to transition through the veil and into wherever we go once we leave this physical body. And one of the stories was quite amazing. I'd been working in the theatre recovery room and they needed someone in intensive care, and I could do both. I went, of course. And they said, oh, this patient's really stable. He's an elderly gentleman. He's been here for a long time. And he's on a ventilator. And I went, great, no problem. Within an hour of me being there, the family had rung and said that they actually wanted the ventilator turned off, and that but they didn't want to come in. They'd said their goodbyes. So I was the one that was chosen to be with him, to do that with him and for him. So I was holding a space, just praying and sending love to him as we went through the process. And the message I got from himself, or his higher self, was that he didn't want anyone to be with him when he actually left his body. And it was interesting because there was a nurse next to me that was obviously quite uncomfortable with death, and she was asking me weird questions frequently. So I was trying to focus on this beautiful man. So I turned around finally to speak with her, and in that moment I actually felt his soul go up my back and up through, and I knew he'd left. He didn't even want me to see him go. I'm getting goosebumps as I tell this story. And I felt like it was such an honour to be there to help him to transition. I have been told that I'm actually almost like a conduit, because I was a midwife, so I'd help baby's birth and soul's birth onto the earth. and then I'd help people leave. So it's like I'm a vortex, or I hold actually a portal for that to happen. So yeah, so that was my story with death. So that's one that we can talk about as well. And it's really important, I think, that we take a lot of that fear away from death. So I'm also going to be interviewing people that have got a particular passion for different areas and arenas in life. So if there's someone that you love and you want to put them forward, or there's something that you do and you want to jump on and have a chat, just let me know. Pop it in the comments. So, okay. But for now, I might say farewell for today, because this is our first one, and I'd love to bring through more of these really interesting topics. And one of the first things, though, I'd like you to all start thinking about is to remember who we truly are. Are we just this physical body, or are we more than that? And that's the journey I really know that as humans we are all on this beautiful planet and home for now that we call Earth. Okay, so that's bye from me, and that's bye from Jasper. See you guys.